welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to write a personal statement. So your personal statement is the key part of your UCAS application, and the key is in the name. It's got to be personal to you. This is your one chance in your UCAS application to really show off your personality and set yourself apart from the rest of the application that the admissions tutors are going to be looking at. So throughout this video, I'm going to give you a few top tips and hints on how best to get started with your personal statement and how best to write it, and also how best to cut it down once you've got too many ideas on paper. The personal statement that you do write will go to all 5 of your university choices, so it's important that you keep it relatively generic and you don't speak about a university specifically, and that if you've applied to slightly differing courses, that you don't speak about a course specifically. You need to keep it generic so that the admissions tutors reading these personal statements don't think that you're putting another university ahead of theirs. The first thing you need to do is make a plan. So this could be in the form of a list, it could be a mind map, anything you want, but you want to make sure you cover these topics. So first of all, you want to think about the course. So what course are you applying for, or what course area? Then you want to think about any hobbies and interests you may have, any work experience, any future plans, and any skills and achievements. And you want to write as many ideas down as possible. So when it comes to work experience, for example, I want you to write down every part-time job you've ever had, any bit of volunteering you've ever done, any bit of work experience, whether that be work experience that you've done outside of sixth form or college, or whether it's been built into one of your modules at college or at school. Anything you've done, jot that down because it will come in useful later on. Talking about future plans after university, like postgraduate study or the career you want to go into, really shows your passion and motivation for the course and to go into the desired career after university as well. This shows the admissions tutors how serious you are about doing this course and where you want it to take you. Once you've made this list or this mind map, you've got loads of ideas and loads of things you can begin to talk about in your personal statement. So you've actually got all the ideas there ready to go, and you can actually make a start on the writing of the personal statement. This is the bit that I think people find the most tricky, is actually getting those ideas down. But once you get started, you're going to come to a point where you've got too many ideas on paper and you're going to have to start cutting stuff out. So I promise you, once you get started, it does become a little bit easier. It's really important with your personal statement that you have a strong opening. It is so overused and so generic in a personal statement for people to say, I've always known ever since I was very young that I wanted to be blah, blah, blah. And it just, like I say, it's really overused. The admissions tutors don't want to see that sentence over and over again, and most of the time it isn't true. I mean, have you really wanted to be a physiotherapist since you were 5 years old? Probably not. Did you even know what one was? So you've got to keep it realistic, and you've got to have a unique opening, because you've got to imagine that the admissions tutor's got a massive pile of personal statements that they're going through. How is yours going to stand out from the rest? How are you going to grab the attention of the reader right from the start? So that opening is really key and really important to get your personal statement off to a really good start. So throughout your personal statement, you're going to bring in all of those aspects we talked about at the beginning. So you're going to talk about work experience, you're going to talk about any skills and achievements, you're going to talk about those future plans. But it's how you talk about them and how you can show yourself off in the best way possible. So it's really important when you're writing your personal statement to reflect rather than list. So you don't want the whole statement to be, I did this work experience, I got this A-level which is going to help me for this course, I have done this qualification, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really say much, and for the most part, all of those things that you're going to be talking about are probably on your UCAS application somewhere anyway, within like the employment section or your education section, so they know you've got that, but it's what you say about it. So this is where the reflect part comes in. I don't know if you guys remember when you were at school, or this is definitely something I did at school, but you'd have, in English, you'd have PEE, which was like point evidence explanation, I think, and your teachers would tell you to pee all over your work. Was that just me? I don't know. Just like that, we're going to use something a little bit different called the ABC technique. So this is the activity, the benefit, and the course. So the activity is what you did, the benefit is how that's benefited you, and the course is how that is going to relate to your course of choice. This is a really good technique to use, especially when you're thinking about something that might not necessarily relate to the course directly. So if you've you know, worked in a restaurant and you're applying to a job in nursing. How are you going to relate those two? This is a really good technique to think about how you can do that. Your activity, for example, could be that you dealt with a particularly difficult customer when working in the restaurant, how you sort of dealt with it, you know, how did you go about dealing with the customer? Did you think on your feet? Did you take initiative? All those sort of transferable skills. The benefit of doing that, so again, that's how you've sort of gained these skills when dealing with that customer. So you gain really good communication skills, taking initiative, thinking on your feet, and then the course. So how are you going to relate that to the course? Well, with nursing, you're going to have to take a lot of initiative, you're going to have to think fast, you're going to have to think on your feet, and you're going to be dealing with different types of people all day, every day in your work placement and when you're actually in that job. So there's plenty of ways you can relate, even stuff that you don't think is that relatable, you can relate it to that course. So the ABC technique is a really good way of doing that, and a really good way of bulking out your personal statement in a very sort of detailed way. It's better to sort of talk about less stuff in more detail and have more interesting things to say about it than to just list loads of stuff you've done. So specific examples is what will make your personal statement stand out from somebody else's, because it will be completely personal to you. So you've made your plan, you've given yourself a really strong opening, and you've started to bulk out that personal statement with all this different information and all these detailed examples. What's probably happened now is that your personal statement is way over the character limit, and you've got to start thinking about how you're going to cut that down. A great way to do this is when you're reading through, each point you get to, ask yourself, so what? So if you've talked about the fact that you have an English A-level, ask yourself, so what? And if you can't explain why you think that's important to talk about in your personal statement, then great, you can cut it out and leave a bit of room for other stuff. But if you come to that point and you're like, well, actually, no, the fact that I've got an English A-level is really going to help me in this course because it's really benefited my essay writing skills, and I know that I'm going to have to write a lot of essays on this course, so that's why it's in there. Okay, brilliant. You need to make sure that you've said that. You need to make sure that you've said it's going to help my essay writing skills, and that's going to help me with this course because I know that there's going to be a lot of essays, for example. You need to make sure you've said that, or you can chuck it completely if you don't think it's relevant. So it's about kind of having that little argument with yourself to decide whether it's worth staying in the personal statement, and that's a really good way to kind of cut stuff out that you don't need, or make sure that you're being as detailed as possible with the things you have put in. So when you've asked yourself, so what, if you can give yourself a reason, you need to make sure that reason is definitely written in there. What you don't want to do with your personal statement as well is be last minute. Like I said, it's a really important part of your application. You want to make sure you get it handed in as soon as possible. So a lot of colleges and schools will have internal deadlines. It's really important to stick to these. It's not the be all and end all of how perfect it is, but get something in that a tutor can have a little look at. Maybe one of your parents might have a little read through. That's a really good opportunity to get something in so that you have something to start editing. And usually those internal deadlines tend to be like October time. So you've got plenty of time after that, once your tutors have handed them back, to get it edited before your UCAS deadline in January. So you've got plenty of time to have a little look over it after it's been checked. You don't want too many people checking it. So what I did was I had my tutor at college check it. I had my older sister check it because she'd been through the application process, she'd been to university, so she was a really good person to sort of check the content, sort of a second eye. And then I'd get my dad to kind of check spelling and grammar and things like that. You don't want too many people, but I think those 3 people was kind of a good mix of people to have a little look over it and check that it was the perfect statement for me and that it was written well, ready to go off to the admissions tutors. So that is it for today. I wanted to keep this video fairly short and quick and snappy and just give you a few top tips on how to best get started with your personal statement. If you do have any questions, please pop them in the comments below and I will try and answer as many of those for you as possible. Or you can get in touch with us on our other social media, so you can send us a little message on Instagram, for example. But yeah, I wish you the best of luck with writing your personal statement and getting that UCAS application done and sent off. It's not as stressful as you think it is. Once you get those ideas down, you'll begin to really enjoy writing it, and it's the best way to kind of sell yourself and show off your personality to those admissions tutors and to the university that you really want to go to. I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you found it useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. But until then, we'll see you very soon. Bye!